Welcome to Guided Practice, guys. Let's take a look at number 1. Now, in number 1, we're comparing two fractions, 2/4 to 2/3. Now, before we draw our number lines and things, I want you to focus in on the fractions. First thing you want to do is look at your denominator, and are they the same? No. This one's divided up into fourths. So whatever the whole is, maybe it's a whole length of yarn or ribbon or string or maybe a whole candy bar. And this one is divided up into thirds. So we know that the pieces themselves are not going to be the same size. Now let's take a look at the numerator and to see how many pieces each one have. This one has 2 out of the 4 pieces. And this one has 2 out of the 3 pieces. So the numerators are the same. They each have 2 pieces. So I want you to be thinking now, the denominators are different, but if the numerators are the same, if they have the same amount of pieces, now we can think about our denominators and think, okay, which one's bigger, which one's smaller? And remember what we talked about. The smaller the denominator, the bigger the piece, right? The bigger the piece. So I'm going to predict that if I have 2 out of the 4 pieces, these pieces are going to be smaller because this is a bigger denominator than these pieces, 2/3. So I'm going to predict that 2/3 is larger. So I'm going to say 2/4 is less than. So I'm going to do this. That's my prediction, okay? So let's draw it out. Let's draw, I want you to do the same thing. Draw out the number line for the first one, 0 to 1, and let's divide that up into fourths, okay? 4 equal pieces. And so we go 1 piece, that's 1/4, right? 1, 2, that's 2/4. 1, 2, 3, that's 3/4, or 3 out of the 4. And then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 4/4, or 1 whole. And it says 2/4, so we have 1, 2. Okay. Now for the next number line, let's make it the same length because we want to compare the same size whole pieces. So maybe it's 1 candy bar, same candy bars, 0 all the way to 1, same length, only the second one is divided up into thirds. The denominator says 3, so we're going to divide that up into thirds. We don't have as many pieces, so the pieces can be larger. So we go 1, that's 1/3, 1, 2, that's 2/3, 1, 2, 3, 3/3, or 1 whole. And we're going to go 2/3, 2 pieces out of the 3. So go 1, 2. And look at that. Look who went further to the right on the number line. 2/3, just as we predicted. So we are correct. We can say that 2/4 is definitely less than 2/3. That alligator's mouth is open up to the larger piece. So there we go. Now let's do number 2. We'll start moving up a little faster here, okay? For number 2, we're going to take a look at this again before we draw our number lines and see if we can come up with some potential predictions or not. Okay, so let's take a look at this. We have 2/6 being compared to 1/3. So let's look at the denominator first. Are the denominators the same? They're not. We have 6 or sixths, and then we have thirds. So they're not the same. But based on what we know that 6 is a much larger number than 3. So the individual pieces for the 6 will be smaller than the individual pieces for thirds, because this has been divided up into 6 parts. And this has only been divided up into 3 parts, much bigger pieces. Now let's look at the numerator. For the 6, we have 2 pieces. Okay, so the pieces are smaller, but we have 2 of them. And then over here, we only have 1 piece, but that 1 piece will be larger, right, individually than the 1 piece over here. So here we have different denominators and different numerators. This is the first time that we've actually come across something like this, where both denominators and both numerators are different. So let's hold off on our predictions and let's draw a number line to compare. So I'm going to draw one number line here. We'll put 0 and we'll put 1. And let's have this one represent the one that's been cut up into 6ths. So we need to have 6 equal pieces all the way across here. So I'm going to first divide this into 2 equal pieces. And then on this side we'll have to have 3, and this side we'll have to have 3. So for that, I'm going to put 2 lines. There's 1, 2, 3, and then 2 more lines here, and another 3. So now I have 1/6, and then I go 2 spots, 2/6, and go 1 more spot, that's 3/6. Another spot, that's 4/6. Another spot, 5/6. And then if I've gone the entire whole length, we'll have 6/6, right? Or 1 whole. Now and we know that it's 2/6. So let's go ahead and highlight 1 plus 1 is 2. So it's gone that far. Now let's do a number line. The same. Make sure that number line is equal, guys. So we have 0 here. And we go all the way to the end. That's 1 whole. And for the second one, we're dividing up into thirds, 3 equal parts. So let's do that. Do our best. Now remember, you can always erase this to try to get the right size pieces. All right. So now we go 1 piece, so that's 1/3. 2 pieces, 1, 2, that's 2/3. And then 1, 2, 3, 3/3, or 1 whole. And it's 1/3. Okay. Huh. Interesting. Now mine isn't perfect here, but I want you to see something. If I was to bring this up, that looks pretty similar. 2/6 to 1/3. Okay, so let me try this. What if I went up here and I divided this up into thirds? How would I do that? I would have to take this one and this one, right? 1/3, 2/3, 3/3. Okay, well, let's go down here and divide this up into 6ths. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You know what? 2/6. If you have a candy bar that's divided up into 6 equal parts, and you have 2 pieces, you're going to have the same amount of candy that if someone had the same size candy bar and divided that up into 3 equal pieces, and they only had 1 piece, you'd have the same amount of candy. So 2/6 is equal to 1/3. How about that? For number 3, we're comparing 5/8 to 3/8. I've written it over here. First thing, always look at your denominator. Okay? The denominator on this fraction is an 8, and the denominator on this fraction is an 8. They're the same. Yay! Remember, the denominators tell you how many pieces there are in one whole. So this candy bar, has been divided up into eighths, and this candy bar has been divided up into eighths. All right. So now let's look at the numerator. I wonder if they're the same. Man, we've got the same amount, right? Well, this one has 5 pieces, and this one has 3 pieces. But the individual pieces are the same size, right? So if you have 5 compared to 3, I think we could possibly figure out that maybe 5/8 is larger or greater than 3/8. So let's prove it. Now we can draw a number line. I want you to draw a number line. And we'll put 0 to nothing. And then all the way over here to the right is 1 whole. 1 whole candy bar, 1 whole length of string, whatever you want to call it. And it's been divided up into eighths. Okay, so now, just to give you a little clue, eighths, you can divide that into half. And then make this side have 4 pieces and this side have 4 pieces, because 4 plus 4 is 8, right? So for this side, I'm going to divide this up into half. Now I have 2 pieces. And now if I divide these individual sections up, now I have 4 pieces. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's do the same thing. Divide that up into half, that into half, that into half. And now I have 8. So I'm going to label it. Better label it, guys. 1/8, 2/8, 3/8, 4/8. Oh, look at that. 4/8 is actually equal to 1/2, right? 5/8, 6/8, 7/8, and then if you have 1 whole candy bar cut up into eighths, if you have 8/8, that means you have 1 whole. Okay, so the first one is 5/8. Okay, so I'll put my yellow color, and we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, that's a lot of the candy bar, more than half, right? The other one is 3/8. Now, since they have the same size, the eighths, I don't need to draw another number line. I can just use the same one, right? And so 3/8. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3. And look at that. We are absolutely correct. 5/8 is greater than 3/8.